Hello, this is Hot Indonesia, your only source of topical debate. From Sanur, Bali, I'm Sandrina Malakiano, and here is this week's HI or Hot List. America votes. The world's once unchallenged superpower picks its president next week. Does it matter who wins? Jurassic Park plans for commercial development that feature the iconic Komodo Dragon ignite protests. And trashy action. Why are people still doing things like this public dumping? As always, this week I'm joined by Sandiaga Uno, former Vice Governor of Jakarta from his home in South Jakarta, and Sari Latif, TV journalist and law school graduate from TIC's studio in South Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 1, America votes. Early voting has already begun, but next Tuesday is when voters in the United States will decide whether to keep Donald Trump in office or replace him with former Vice President Joe Biden. It's been a nasty campaign with personal attacks, mixed with major issues of fighting COVID-19 and race relations. Now, the latest surveys show that Biden heading for a slim victory. Sandy, does it really matter to Indonesia who wins the election?
Well, definitely Indonesia will work together with whoever the American people would elect as president. And U.S. is always very, very important to Indonesia and the ASEAN region in particular. And if you look at how the ASEAN and the Indonesian economy, there are a lot of investments coming in from the U.S. From a traditional trade and investment partner. U.S. has played and will continue to play an important role even post-pandemic economic recovery. Both Trump and Biden should agree upon the importance to beef up investments to balance regional economy. U.S. has not been very active in the past in Indonesia and Southeast Asia. Mainly it is being driven by more Chinese investments. And I think the new chapter post the elections, we look forward for the U.S. to invest more in Indonesia and in providing with the latest of technology, emerging entrepreneurship coming in from the USA. This young populations, this bonus demography, and there are a lot of unstoppable global trends happening in Indonesia is really a very fertile ground for U.S. investments and creating jobs, good quality jobs, and recovering from the post-COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, let's look back a bit to the previous U.S. President Barack Obama. He was really popular here with his Indonesian childhood story. Now, from what you've heard from people around you, Sari, what do Indonesians in general say or think about Donald Trump?
Well, it's interesting. It's an interesting question because, like any presidential election, there are two groups that are pretty strong vocally in their opinion. For instance, Indonesians who are living in the U.S. are definitely against Trump because of the Black Lives Matter issue, just the way he runs his presidency. But what's interesting to me is those who are in Indonesia who are actually supporting Trump. Being obviously not in the US, but, and I took a look, those who are pro-Trump are actually the conservative Christians in Indonesia. And I think one of the things that probably made him a little bit more favorable because of the recent Trump ability to unite or open diplomacy between the Saudi Arabia and Israel. So I think there's a strong vocal both from pro and non-pro Trump. I guess that's what I've been reading on my timeline and also just talking to a few friends.
Interesting. Back to you, Sandy. As a businessman, in terms of foreign investment, as you mentioned, economic cooperation and international ties with Indonesia, better Trump or Biden?
Well, Trump has this America First strategy and uh, basically making America great again, strong chant and policy, which maybe it's anecdotal, but we felt from the business communities that the U.S. has not been leading in terms of investments coming into Indonesia. We need the jobs, and recently there's a job creation bill that was passed aiming at streamlining and doing structural reform that would attract investments, which would energize the economy, opening up new good and quality jobs. But it depends on whose perspectives, because it's again, Indonesia would not really interfere with whoever is going to win, but we need to work very hard to attract investments, in particular from the U.S. and from other countries post-pandemic, because I think 21 million jobs will be lost from the pandemic and the Industrial Revolutions 4.0 with automations and robotics, Internet of Things. But we are looking at 23 to 46 million new jobs will be created post-pandemic in the area of healthcare, technology, data revolutions, alternative energies. And we look forward for U.S. investments coming into Indonesia.
Shortly, just do you believe that they will move all the investment they're pulling out from China to Indonesia?
It depends. I'm an investor myself. If I see what the structural reforms really aiming at a more business-friendly environment, yes, I would do it. But it has to make sense.
Sari, I'd like to know your prediction. Who do you think will win the race and why?
I mean that's funny. I mean, I totally don't know, to be honest with you, but I think I've just studied the style of from the campaign or debate that Biden has, with Trump. One thing though, Biden was the vice president in the Barack Obama's administrations, which I think that a lot of his style, not kind of like copy, but obviously rubs off a little bit on Biden, where he's more diplomatic. He has a diplomacy. I think is probably a better partnership and that kind of relationship with Indonesia, like Barack Obama would. I think that he has a strong also chance to win, because he would fix a lot of the relationship that Trump has damaged. For instance, with the Paris Paris Climate Agreement. I think the U.S. pulled out of that, and there's also with the WHO and those kind of relationship. But I think that a lot of the U.S. citizen wants to see that back on board.
Is it it's going to be a very tight race? You don't see who's going to win?
I think it's going to be a tight race, but I don't know what kind of Trump card Trump will pull at the last minute, because the last election, a lot of people think that Hillary was going to win, but look what happened. So yeah.
Okay, Sandy, just between Trump or Biden, which one? Short.
I am going to wear my political hat here. Whoever wins, Indonesia is ready to work with the U.S. to bring in more cooperations, bilateral trade, and investments across the board.
Okay. Hot Indonesia will continue shortly. Jurassic Spark. Should this iconic creature be put on commercial display? You are watching Hot Indonesia, and here's hot topic number 2, Jurassic Park. The Komodo National Park in the eastern part of Indonesia is one of the country's jewels. It is home to an endangered species, the Komodo Dragon. Plans are to develop a Jurassic Park concept on 1.3 hectares of land, but conservationists don't like the prospect of human pollution and the practice of baiting to attract the reptiles just to provide spectacles for tourists. Now, I personally am quite heartbroken as I heard about the destruction of a hill near the entry gate, which was once a natural habitat of 4 types of rare snakes. And the hill also serves as the main sunbathing location for the cold-blooded Komodo. Now, the hill with all the huge trees there has been chopped down to make way for trucks and heavy machineries. Government officials say required studies have been done and that this mega project will boost tourism. But what do you think, Sari, about this?
I mean, the government always says they've done studies. Whether studies been done or not, I think a lot of there has been studies done, I'm sure, but that's also been a protest from that because it's not enough studies. I mean, if we look at when President Jokowi first visited the island and decided to want to make this one of the tourism destination more than so today. I don't think it's enough time to do even any studies that requires, it requires quite some time, I think personally, again, the government is deciding things at a time where I don't think it's very favorable. So this is also another backlash, I guess, on the government's decision to create Jurassic sparks, like you said. It is sparking controversies.
Sandy, do you see this as part of an economic development process, or do you agree with the critics?
I visited Komodo Island, Rincha Island, a few times in the past, and I'm for the making sure that the local economy is going to thrive and opening up new economic opportunities for the people of Labuan Bajo and the surrounding areas. But even the original idea of Jurassic Park movie franchise was based on the narratives to build such a thematic park. Perhaps it would be a threat to ecology. I was swimming in the pink beach. It was so serene. Yes, we need to improve our destination's marketing, but look at the movie itself. It ended up in a disaster. So the best way is, I think, to keep it as the original, back to nature through Komodo ecosystem conservations. And I think we need to really think very hard. By the way, Jurassic Park is a trademark owned by Universal Studios. I think we need to make sure that we don't use that name before we are being sued. Environmental groups, we need to consult with them because we definitely need like a nature-based type of tourism with a high economic impact, providing good quality jobs, rather than concretes and disrupting the ecology. So best case scenario is hopefully where the tourism revenue can be used to protect the habitat, the environment surrounding of the Komodo.
Yeah, I agree, Sandy. I mean, in terms of building, you could make an ecological or nature-friendly type of buildings. Now, if you've been to the park, it is incredible to see the Komodo in its natural habitat. Now, these development plans call for a 4,000 square meter visitor center. If you've seen the picture, that sounds like a lot of concrete, Sari.
Yes, exactly. I mean, even, we always see what's on the surface. Okay, I agree, the three of us agree, which is, I'm quite surprised, my Sandy. I thought you would be really pro for the Jurassic Sparks. But, yeah, it's not just about the what's on the surface, but it's also underneath. Because if you put those concretes and, that would actually destroy the soil as well. And you might not see the impact today, but we will see impact that in the future. And so this is something that's also very important to think about. If they do, we all want to make Indonesia. We have so many beautiful places that we can build as a tourism, but again, there should be ways of not destroying the area or the land, especially with concretes.
A little more than 3,000 of these lizards call Rinca and Komodo Island home. Sandy, you mentioned earlier about Rinca, about natural habitat, and now we've been hearing people say, especially government officials, that most of the Komodo dragons do not live on Rinca Island, they live on Komodo Island. So it's actually only a very small portion of this species live on Rinca Island, but still, is that a good enough excuse, Sandy?
I don't want to get into the details of how many Komodos living there, but the fact that, a picture tells 1,000 words. And this picture of a Komodo facing like a truck, I think it's really sad. We need to make sure that we, have a much better strategy at communications. And I'm for job creations. Yes, I'm for the development of our tourism. But what kind of jobs and what kind of tourism? I think we need to be very, very careful. The way we have done it in the past needs some improvements. But I guess I would like people to sit down and make sure that these are communicated and socialized much better, even with the international community.
Very well said. More Hot Indonesia is ahead. Trashy action. What were these people thinking? This is Hot Indonesia from Jakarta and Bali. Let's go to hot topic number 3, trashy action. They weren't even trying to hide the fact that they were dumping at least 4 big garbage bags into public canal in Bekasi, West Java. Knowing that their irresponsible act was captured on video and went viral, the men turned themselves in to the police. They faced charges from a fine to prison time. And guess what? Inside the bags, domestic trash from a child's birthday party. Wow. Very bad parental example to set, guys. What makes people think they can do this, Sandy?
Well, when I used to work at the City Hall, I initiated a public-private people partnership because at the end, it has to be people being involved and community being embraced. And I think to modernize the waste handling, you need the participations of the people, changing the culture and making sure that the governor and the new vice governor will speed up the implementations. We have waste handling system that is probably outdated. And now we have 10 million Jakartans produce 8,000 tons of waste every day. 60% is municipal waste, and now growing medical waste because of the pandemic. We need to really modernize and make it, we initiated waste to energy, which is very, very environmental friendly. The project is now have taken a very slow route to implementations. I wish that this could be implemented more on an expedited basis. So the idea is to open a waste to energy scheme that will bring incentives to the people to actually turn their waste, and they got paid. This person or this family who just had a birthday party actually can earn incomes by turning their waste rather than dumping it to very illegally and very environmental friendly. So, and it will benefit the family, it will benefit the city, and it could create energy for the people.
I do not quite agree, actually. You do not need to be paid to do the right thing, right? It's a matter of habit and also awareness. But okay, maybe if that works, then it could be a good solution, Sandy, if you have to pay them. Now, our resident legal expert, Sari, how steep a penalty should these guys get?
Well, I think that every regional or Pemda has their own kebijakan or their own regulations, but in the case of something like this, I mean, I'm for restorative justice as well. Not everything should be criminalized or, you know, prison time, but I think that a hefty sanction, fine in the monetary, because that's what they're doing. You know, they're dumping rubbish, which is, you know, once it's banjir, flooding, then we all know that it's just going to ruin the economy as well. But so I think Indonesia should make a national, a strong, heavy fine for this kind of rubbish dumping. But I don't think we're doing enough yet. I think I understand what Sandy was trying to say by rewarding also could help, because at the moment we have this strong culture. People love to throw rubbish and they don't care about it, you know. I'm just ashamed if I was their daughter someday, or sons who had a birthday, looking at our parents doing that. I mean, it's viral, you know. So I think it should be a strong fine for people who are, you know, dumping rubbish everywhere, especially that 4 bags are full, you know.
Now it's feedback time. Keep your comments coming. Harry posted this on the YouTube page of our partner TV1 regarding our discussion on whether to recognize Israel. It's not about Israel, but about Palestine. Our priority should be the independence of Palestine. And Zailani posted this on the Indonesia Channel YouTube page. This program is useful to improve my English, and it's also very insightful. We're glad to hear that. Thank you. And now here is how to contact us with your feedback. Email to hotindonesia@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Sandy.
I would agree more on the carrot and stick approach. Yes, in the middle of pandemic, people are facing a lot of pressures from the economic downturn and obviously the health situations. So if a public, private, and people partnership could be implemented with a carrot and stick approach, people will be rewarded for good behavior and will be punished for bad behavior. I think that would be the way we should govern things, at least for us to speed up the recovery post-pandemic.
A few short final words, Sari.
I'm going to do a little bit of a different final words. I guess I'm asking when is Dalton will come back and join us. So hopefully I'll get to see him soon, and we'll get to see him soon.
Amen to that.
Amen to
And
that.
I arrived in Bali last Sunday, and it's a good thing to see that more and more tourists are visiting the island. People are enjoying the long weekend holidays, but it is a sad fact that after every long holidays, the numbers of COVID-19 cases just spike up. So if you're currently on a holiday trip or business trip, please continue to take extra care, remain vigilant, maintain all health protocols, and let us all hope that next week we will not see a sharp increase of case numbers, or even better, let's hope for decreasing numbers and the flattening of the curve. Finally, we wish you all a wonderful long weekend, and that concludes this week's Hot Indonesia. For Sandiaga Uno and Sari Latif, I'm Sandrina Malakiano. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.